Hi, I'm Benja. We have the best exotic Thai food. About Benja is not just good food. It's the way that you will feel when you're here. We make you feel welcome. We make you feel special. And of course, the food is delicious and great service. You will love our place and you will come back for more.
Payson Lions head coach Jeremy Chapman. So happy you came on down. I know it was not a quick trip, and I know you got many more trips coming down. What's the number one question, Coach, that boosters, parents, people on campus have been asking you about the realignment?
A lot of the conversation that comes up is regarding the logistics. You know, the travel is a big thing. You know, we joked around with my administration that we need a timeshare and a charter plane. But the reality is that it's not that far. You know, we just drove down here now. It's a good trip. It's a fast trip. It's all freeway miles, which is awesome. And it's a trip we make frequently. This is kind of Payson High School's second home. It's where I've kind of chosen to come to camp, and the boys are used to coming down here. I got a good relationship with a lot of the coaches down here already. And so really St. George is a home away from home for Payson football. And so it's just kind of fitting that we did get placed down here. Now, as far as the questions go, obviously the quality of the teams down here are outstanding. We got a lot of preparation to get ready for it. There's a variety of schemes we're going to see. It's definitely a challenge, but it's a challenge in which I think we'll be ready for.
Last season, Payson Lions 4-7, made the playoffs. They were 3-2 in Region 12, and got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. They averaged 19 a game and gave up 33. Well, now open up questions for the student athletes only, and then we'll come back with some Q&A for the coaches. And again, we've got two players here representing their school, Kyle Moffitt and Derek Johnson. And Derek and Kyle, just one at a time, why don't you just take me through your excitement level and your role that you see yourself playing on your team this year. Derek, we'll start with you.
I'm very excited for this season. I think we got a great team coming up, and our team is we got a lot of heart and pride this year, and there's just a lot of good players that love to play football, and I think our line is going to do very well. Yeah.
Kyle, how about you? Wide receiver, cornerback, Kyle. Your excitement, your role on the team.
I think our role as captains is just to be leaders. We are definitely leaders in example, but I think we need to be more leaders in vocal. But no, I think we'll do great. We're super excited to play football this year.
Can open up for Q&A with the members of the media. Darren?
Darren Cole, St. George News. This is for either one of you. Stepping into a region for the first time, of course, players from the teams down here actually know each other and they know how to prepare for each other. You guys are at a disadvantage by not knowing the players very well, but also they're at a disadvantage by they don't know you as well as they know the other teams. Do you see that more as an advantage for you guys or a disadvantage?
I see it as an advantage because they think we're a smaller school down in little old Payson, and so when we come up here, we can really show them what we have and give it a fight and show them what we got.
Derek, everyone's mentioned how tough it is to joining this region, the quality of play and everything, but you guys could have an advantage playing home games up there with the teams here having the travel. What kind of outlook do you look as far as when you guys are playing at home?
I think at home we have a very good advantage with our home crowd and the support we have. I think we'll do very well at home against these teams.
We hope for an early winner?
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like football is a little different in Utah County versus Southern Utah? I mean, would there be any noticeable differences as a player or to a fan, the style or the kind of football that's played in your minds?
I think the style of football it's different, but we'll still come out and fight our hardest and do what we do and do it well.
Yeah, we've definitely had quite a few quarterbacks trying to step up to see who will take the starting position. I think we've finally realized who our starting quarterback is, and he'll help us out a lot. So yeah.
I want to follow up. I don't want to start any battles with the coach here, but from your perspective, he likes coming down. He must like the warm weather, man. Coach.
Beautiful.
All right, good stuff. What about you guys as far as the travel? There's going to be a little bit more of it, perhaps coming down into Utah, Dixie here, and playing here several times. But just give me your thoughts on, again, what's going to be like the traveling more back and forth for the Lions.
Yeah, the travel will wear on us a little bit, but I really like playing down here, and I like the environment down here, and I think we'll do well down here.
Devin Dixon again. Kyle, just curious, how much do you know about Dixie High, Desert Hills? I know you played Desert Hills in the playoffs last year, but how much do you know about Snow Camp, Pineview, and just the region in general? Or have you had to kind of look at it a little closer now that you're in the region?
Yeah, it's definitely different. From Payson, we're a lot of cowboys, and I don't know. Seems like everyone's more rich up here. It seems like, not to be bragging or anything, but no. They are different, but it's still football, same sport, so we'll compete either way.
I can attest that not everyone here is rich. We're a bunch of radio guys and newspaper reporters. So, any other questions for Derek or for Kyle?
Yeah, you know, you guys, it's been more than a decade since you guys have really put together a great season and, you know, and made some noise in the playoffs. I know you guys aren't that old, but how important is tradition at Payson High School? Did you talk about some of the great teams from, you know, from decades past and things like that? Is that something? I know your coach went to Payson as well, right? So obviously it's something that would factor in his mind. Does it factor in your minds?
Tradition is very strong, and yeah, we always hear the talk about how it's been several years since a winning season. I think it's around 35, but yeah, I really think if we're gonna have any team break that curse, I think this is the team to do it. And the tradition's very strong, and we always hear the talks from the old timers about the state championships they had back in the day, and I think this team will show a lot of pride and show them what we got.
Garrett Baylor with the Spectrum. I'm just, you guys, maybe it's been 35 years, and the old timers are reminding you guys constantly. But coming down here and being part of the new region realignment, what are your thoughts as far as, I mean, is this an opportunity to come down and start something new for you guys, or is there, you know, I mean, will that maybe outweigh some of the tough competition down here?
Yeah, I like that we get to come down here, but I still like that we get to play our what is the word? Rivalries at Payson, but I like the fact that we get to come down here and compete with bigger schools, but I think that'll help us a lot and get all the recruiters' eyes open to us, maybe. Yeah.
Any other questions for Derek Johnson or Kyle Moffitt from Payson High School? All right, if not, well, let's go back to Coach Chapman and Coach Peary and open a Q&A for the media.
This is Darren Cole, St. George News for Coach Chapman. Your players talked a little bit about it. So were you able to keep your non-regional games with some of your main rivals up north?
Yeah, we were, and that's very important. You know, and we get placed in a region that is so far away from home, and parents obviously love seeing their kids play. And you know, I say it's not that bad of a drive, and it's not, but the perception is it's rough. You know, and it does, with the cost of gas, put a lot of stress on families. And so it was really important for me to stay close to home in the preseason. And we have a crosstown rival in Salem Hills, where a good portion of actually Payson City goes to Salem Hills High School. That was the first call I made, was to Salem Hills, to make sure we kept them on the schedule. And then we followed that up with Spanish Fork. And Spanish Fork's been a long-time rival of Payson for 100 years, and so that's important. like I said, multiple reasons. Proximity to home, but also that rivalry and the importance of keeping that going, because these are new teams down here. Their teams are, as a program and as coaches and kids, we're not too familiar with, but we wanted to keep that old time rivalries going.
Patrick Blake, ESPN Radio. Talked a little bit about the quarterback battle last year. You had 3 different guys that had some varsity time under center. Who is it this year kind of stepping up and taking the reins right now 2 weeks ago?
Going into the season, it's going to be Easton Smith. He'll be a junior. He does have some experience in playing. Not much. Last year we had a 3-year starter that finished up for us. The senior was a good player for us. But Easton's good as well. He's different, but he's very effective in what we're asking him to do, and he's shown that throughout the summer. Whether it be at the 7-on-7s or come down here to football camp, he's done really well.
Coach, you mentioned Easton Smith. What are some of the other strengths of the team, both offensively and defensively?
If you don't mind, I'll have Coach Peary. He's the defensive coordinator. Talk about our defensive strengths. I think he's bored over here, so we've got to wake him up a little bit. But as far as our offensive strengths, we're returning. I'm an offensive line guy, and everything starts in the trenches. And we're returning 3 starters on our offensive line, and all 3 of those will be 3-year starters for us. They started very young, and now they're old. So and they're good players. They are. And following that up, we are returning our best athletes. We got Kyle Moffitt here. There will not be a player on the football field more athletic than Kyle Moffitt. I don't care who we play. He is a special athlete. He truly is. Looks a little goofy sitting there, but no, he's tough. He's a good player. We're returning our best receiver, Preston Little. He'll be a junior, and he's a big, tough, mean kid, and he makes a lot of plays for us. He really took the top off the defenses for us, and we're able to actually start moving the ball and score some points once he came back from an early season injury. It happened the first drive of our endowment game. Returning our running back, Phil Perez. Tough little kid. He's every bit of 5'6", 155 pounds. But I tell you what, I'm 6'6", 340, and I won't want to tackle him. One, I wouldn't touch him, but there's a good chance I'd feel to hurt more than he would when it's all said and done. So, and then we got some big athletic kids out in the lineup in the slots. I really think we're going to be a tough matchup. I don't care. I know the quality of teams down here is extremely high. We've seen it on film. We've seen it firsthand playing in Desert Hills. But offensively, we will be a tough matchup. We will. We got big athletic kids. We got an experienced line and a smart quarterback.
How much are you going on film looking at some of these new teams in the region that you'll be playing against?
Well, it's with Huddle, it's very easy in theory to get film, and we do have some film on all the teams down here, and we've been studying as a coaching staff, looking at the different schemes. You got Hurricane that runs that wing tee to perfection. You got Cedar run that triple option. They're very effective at it. Then you got the spread option teams down here that are just dynamic in what they do. Having that film, being able to look at our schemes and what we do, both offensively and then defensively, look at the different defenses, it definitely has helped us in preparing, both evaluating what kids are going to play in what spot, trying to look at where we need our athletes and where we need to try to strengthen our fronts, but also just the scheme if we need to make some adjustments going into the season. So film has been a very big key for us as a coaching staff. The kids haven't been exposed to it a whole lot, but us as coaches have spent a lot of time looking at it and studying it.
And I'm sure yourself as a defensive coordinator have spent a lot of time watching Hurricane, Cedar, Dixie, Fineview, all the schools down here and their different offensive schemes.
Definitely I've lost a lot of sleep already trying to prepare for all the different things that we're going to see this year.
Can you tell us about your defense a little bit, your depth chart maybe?
A lot of the guys that Coach Chapman talked about will play both ways for us. Kyle and Phil Perez both be our starting corners, start off the season. Preston Little, who we talked about as receiver, be a safety for us. A lot of the O-line are going to go over and play D-line for us. It's just the reality of a smaller football team. A couple other guys, John Harmon, he's our middle linebacker. He started for us the last 2 years. He's going into his junior season, so he started as a freshman for us. Not the biggest kid, but does a really good job reading, coming downhill, making tackles. So that'll be a big boost for us. We also have another outside linebacker, Dalton Baker, who's a dynamic athlete, almost freakish athlete as far as size and ability, and so we look to see him play a lot and play a big role for us this coming year.
Coach, Darren Cole, St. George News. On game day, you know, the long travel, are you guys going to do anything like travel early or do anything different to offset the ill effects that may be caused by the long travel?
Definitely. We'll get here early. I think Desert Hills might have been a little surprised how early we got here for our playoff game because it takes a while to get the bus rust off. You know, you got the kids out, let them kind of run around, get some food in them, just kind of let them relax before you actually start preparing for the game. It's tough to just come off the bus, throw pads on, warm up, and play. So the adjustment we'll make is get here early, give them time to just relax, you know, maybe find some shade somewhere, give them a little bit of food, and then get ready.
Baylor Spectrum. Coach Chapman, this is kind of a two-part question, but we've talked about the past a little bit, maybe a rough run for the past 35 years, something like that, and it kind of hitting with the players. But is this an opportunity for you guys to kind of start maybe a little bit new tradition? And then part two of that question is, you talked about the old rivalries and the importance there. Is there anyone that you guys are looking forward to seeing playing from down here? I know you guys played Desert Hills last year, but maybe them or aside from theirs, is there anyone that you guys have your eye on?
You know, in terms of the past, myself and actually Coach Peary himself being a graduate of Payson High School, and his father was actually my head football coach at Payson. So both of us have a passion for Payson and Payson football. Now with that saying, we haven't had a winning season since 1978. I mean, I was born in 1977. So essentially for my life, Payson has not had a winning season. That is something which I'm not, you know, I accept. I don't run away from that fact because myself being a player here and now as a coach going into my 5th year, it's something which I am fully have every intent of fixing. In terms of the present, this group of kids is the best football team I've had. It's the best football team all around I've seen at Payson High School for the simple fact that they are football players. We've had athletes come through, but maybe they're not really dedicated to what it takes to be a good football player in regards to the weight room, the summer workouts, maybe just kind of go through the motions. These young men collectively, they attack it. They attack it with heart, they attack it with passion. And I know it doesn't matter who lines up in front of them, they will compete. So absolutely coming down here, it is kind of hitting a reset button maybe, gives something new, some different challenges, and it enables us to test ourselves. Because if we're going to get it done, this is the group of kids that I think will do it, and this is a schedule which would be very satisfying to do it against. It truly would.
Coach, again, Devin Dixon, just curious as far as numbers go, how many returning starters or lettermen? And obviously, who are some names that maybe didn't see significant playing time that the region should probably watch out for that could, they've already caught your eye, but could catch some of the media's eye and the other team's eye?
You know, we got, I mean, I never really do the numbers exactly. I'm going to estimate roughly. We got about 6 returning starters both sides of the ball. In terms of names that maybe haven't got a lot of playing experience, Coach Peary talked about one of them, that's Dalton Baker. I mean, he's 6'5", 205 pounds, and he is an explosive, dynamic athlete. He definitely stands out in the crowd, and he plays the game with a violent aggression that is tough to match. We got some young kids that we fully anticipate making plays for us. One example is Stephen Van Moose. He's going to be a sophomore. Last year, Coach Peary, he was also coaching the receivers, and he tried to get me to pull him up to varsity as a freshman, saying he's our second best receiver right now. I chose not to. I chose to let him kind of simmer a little bit and get some more experience before we put down his play, because we had some kids I felt were okay as well. And throughout the summer, the kids impressed the heck out of me. And he's going to have a chance to get playing time both sides of the ball. So those are 2 kids right off the bat, because we are returning a lot of our skill guys. So,
Coach, you and I got a chat the other day, and we were talking about the old days. You played at Dixie State under Coach Croshaw and Coach Smith and Coach Jolly. Does your coaching philosophy reflect your playing days?
you know what? When I first got hired, I run into Coach Croshaw, and he gave me a piece of advice, and he said, just be yourself. You know, just be you. With that being said, I reflected on who am I. I'll definitely say in regards to football, a lot of who I am was directly influenced by Coach Jolly. I mean, those of you who've been around and know Coach Jolly, I mean, he was a very tough, very hard-nosed, very no-nonsense guy. There's multiple times I saw him make big, bad college football players break down in tears. And so I will say I try not to do that with my players, you know. However, I am very direct. I'm very blunt and very focused as far as what I expect of them, and then what's expected of them, I don't vary from that. Because of that, we have had a lot of kids that think they're going to come play football for us here at Payson, and they don't last because it is tough. I'm not the easiest coach to play for, but I'm okay with that because I want kids that are going to represent the community of Payson well. They have to be quality young men, and if they're out doing things they shouldn't be doing, they are not going to last in our program. So in regards to Coach Jolly, I'd definitely say that he had a lot to do with building me and making me maybe a little harder and tougher because you have to be tough to make it through Coach Jolly.
Got final.
When you heard about the realignment and the reclassification and all that, was there a knee-jerk reaction? Were you like, well, this sucks, or I like it, or I mean, what was your first reaction when you heard about it?
You know, when the whole realignment was going on, the first proposal had us at 4A, and I was okay with that. I mean, our furthest game would have been up in Heber City, and the rest of the games would have been right there in Utah County, and it's longtime rivals and all that kind of stuff. So it's more of a history that we're used to at Payson High School. I knew that the school wanted to be 3A, and we were just right on the border where the state was going to allow us to choose. Our administration went up to the state, and the state gave them the option, and part of that option, they said if you choose 3A, your football program's going to be down south. I was unaware of that at the time. I knew the school was going to go up and request 3A. I got news from Springville's head coach, actually, that we got bumped down here to 3AA South. I don't think my principal was really excited about telling me. Afraid of maybe a knee-jerk reaction. And that first reaction was shock. When I went through the different scenarios of where we could end up in the realignment, I didn't really think this 3AA South is a viable option. And so the first reaction was a bit of shock. And then I looked at it, and I truly did get excited about it. You know, as a coach, you always want to face the best competition. You want to test yourself against the best. You want to take your athletes and put them against the best. In regards to 3A, we are definitely going against the best. And so that was, it turned out to be a welcome surprise. It really did.
Time for one final question for Coach Chapman or Coach Peary. Payson Lions here at the Media Day. Coach and the team, they will lace them up and be at Provo on the 23rd, first game of the year. Then Salem Hills, then Spanish Fork, and then they get their first Region 9 game against, let's see, Hurricane Tigers. Guys, really appreciate you being here. Thanks for spending some time with us and driving the extra distance, and best of luck to a safe, successful season.
Thank you.
All right, Payson Lions, Mike, Andy, back over to you.